Good morning, everybody. I'm currently stuck in the attack animation right now, and I'm here to present to all of you the Dhampir, brand new race being added to Dungeons & Dragons Online. Looks kind of cool. I'm excited for it, and I'm going to go over some of the details with the race, what you can expect out of it, what you can do with it, what it does, and also what it looks like, some of the character creator options. You're going to be able to experiment with this yourself on the Mania if you want, and this is also going to be coming with the upcoming expansion, which is exciting. So let's go over it. Let's talk about Dhampir. Let's see what we got going on under the hood here of this purple-eyed guy. I actually just hit random on the character creator, so it's kind of interesting that this is what it spat out for me. So really quick, Dhampirs, for their racial traits, they get two things. First, Dhampir traits, you don't breathe underwater, and second, the Vampiric bite. Vampiric Bite is interesting. It's basically like the Aasimar Healing Hands, which is just Paladin Lay on Hands, except it uses Wisdom. Except that this one, instead of it being a direct Lay on Hands effect where you just cast it and then it heals you, instead it's actually a bite attack. So you have to attack an enemy, it deals damage to them, and then you gain hit points for doing that. So it's worse in a sense. However, this is something you can like augment and increase the power of. So there's other things you can like add onto it to make it a little bit better. Additionally, it also scales off Constitution. So if you're playing as like any type of melee character, you're going to really appreciate that, because Dhampirs also, they get a bonus to their strength. Their strength modifier is actually +2 as their main stat, which means Dhampirs are going to be great for any type of melee character. We're talking barbarians, fighters, paladins, oddly enough. Anybody that really wants to use strength, you're going to have a pretty good time with the Dhampir, which is nice, because I know a lot of people think we already have too many strength races, but there's a couple cool options in Dhampir that kind of fit the bill and make strength a little bit more interesting on this character in particular. So what do I mean by that? Well, first we have the enhancement tree here, which is got your basic cores, extra vampiric bites on the even one or on the odd ones, and then you have the bonus stats, strength, constitution, and charisma. So you can kind of do a charisma play as well. I mean, realistically, at this point in DDO, the character's base stats don't matter too much, but it is just nice to consider you can get an extra +4 strength out of this thing if you want to. Now, the left side of the tree here is augmentations to your vampire bite. So at the start, you can get Draining Bite. So now when you bite, it actually applies negative levels to the enemy as well as healing you. This is okay. The problem with the negative levels is that even if you apply 7 at the level cap, 7 negative levels, it actually is a pretty big reduction on enemy stats. The problem is you're probably using this as a heal and not as an attack at this point. So at level 1, not really something you want to invest in, but if you want to use it more aggressively later, you can. Like, for example, if you pick up Lifeblood. Lifeblood makes it so that you get a bonus to all of your stats after you bite somebody. +3 to all stats for a minute is not too bad, especially considering you get a total of, I believe, 1 extra bite per rest, 1 extra, and 1 extra. So you have a total of 5. So this is 5 minutes of +3 to all stats. Again, is this insane? No, but it is nice. +3 to stats is pretty good, especially if you were already on an odd number. That can push you up for trance effects and other things like that, which is not too bad. Then we get Fearsome Countenance, which is like a direct fear effect that you can use, which is based off of stunning and enchantment DC bonuses. So it actually adds both of them together. So if you're a melee or a caster, you can kind of combine this. Or if you have enchantment bonuses from like an item, you want to stack that in there with the stunning, and it uses all your stats. It's pretty good. So the fear effect is actually quite nice, especially with the changes to fear, so monsters don't run away as much. So it's actually kind of like a 6-second stun you can kind of think about, which is pretty sweet. Be Coward. It is a stun. And then lastly, we have the Ascendant Bite, where now it deals double damage. It cowers, if they are coward, it also has a chance to instantly kill them. And so the benefit here is you can actually use it as an instant kill if you want on this character. Now, are you going to use this? Are you going to use it as an instant kill? I mean, if we're talking about some of the slower paced gameplay, so if you're looking at like R10s, things like that, where monsters take a little bit longer to die, the harder content, this could actually be quite good. Run into pack, pop the Fearsome Countenance, everything is feared, and then bam, slam him with an Ascendant Bite and wipe out one of the creatures right away. Pretty good. Just generally, and it allows you to turn something that would be a healing effect, which you can't really use in the higher Reaper mode, in combat on yourself, into an actual usable offensive tool. So you have to kind of think about the Vampiric Bite as it's a little bit worse lay on hands, because you need to target something and use it, but it's a little bit more versatile in terms of its application, assuming you have these stats. So it's quite interesting. The double damage and stacks of vulnerability literally don't matter, but the other stuff is kind of where it's at. But let's take a look at the rest of the tree. So for your basic stuff, the stuff that's really in reach, you got bonus to skills, hide, move silently, and jump. You have either healing amplification or negative healing amplification, and that's going to come up. We've got the tenuous relationship with death, which gives you unconsciousness range. The numbers here are pretty low, but it is also a racial bonus. I've seen some people talking about how they want to see this be at 100, 200 extra points, but remember that you get this at level 1, so they're not going to do that. And then in a protection saves versus spells, one of the most versatile bonuses to saves in the entire game. Tiefling has it, and it's busted. Deep Gnome has it, and it's busted. It's right here. Actually, I think Deep Gnome is just plus to all saves, which is even better, but still good. Then we have the kind of the thing that makes me the most excited about it, Embrace Death, a toggle that turns you actually fully undead. Dhampirs don't heal from negative energy normally, but with Embrace Undeath, or Embrace Death, you can. You become a vampire, effectively, and you get +2 intelligence, charisma, wisdom, and perform, which for the most part isn't going to matter if you're playing like a pure melee, but it's still just nice to have. But now you actually heal from negative energy. Now the thing is this going to be meta? Is this the new build that everyone's going to be clamoring to get? I don't know. I can't really tell you about that. But as somebody who enjoys doing some of the like more basic, the leveling, the TRs, playing on hardcore league, things like that, as somebody who quite enjoys that, I'm just gonna get away because it's noisy over here. Let me go over here where it's less noisy. As somebody who enjoys doing a lot of like the more kind of straightforward sort of like leveling experience, kind of daily grind stuff, Embrace Death to me is really interesting. One, it allows you to play a lot of different characters in ways that you probably weren't playing them before. Like now, if you want, you could just play a Dhampir sorcerer and be able to heal yourself. So you could do instead of having to be a Warforged, you can now use negative energy as if you're a Pale Master, which is kind of cool. And it gets a charisma bonus, which is pretty sweet. But on top of that, you could also pick some other characters. Maybe you want to play an Abyss Warlock to be able to heal yourself. Or maybe you just want to use some of the negative healing amplification items that exist in some of the different slots that casters don't generally use. The amount of randomly generated items that give negative healing amplification is all over the place. So I can imagine somebody might want to play a Dhampir Rogue, maybe go intelligence based, and then use some of the intelligence and negative healing amp items instead of the positive healing amp items for the flexibility. Is this going to be be all end all? I definitely think there's going to be a couple builds that will use this at super endgame, but for the most part, I just think this is really, really cool, and it's going to make the building a lot more fun. Plus, you can also get this at level 2. So you can really hit your Embrace Death. It's only 6 points deep in the tree, which will be pretty nice. On top of that, you also get Dominate Animal. I don't know why you would use this, but you can. It's not terrible. The creatures that are mindless don't have a save, so this is nice. Maybe if you're doing like R10s for 1 point, every 18 seconds you just get to pick like a scorpion and just turn it off, which is kind of nice, so maybe that could be useful. We have Rush of Bats, which is a dash. Every 12 seconds you can dash forward. For all you speedrunners out there, this is just Dance of Wind or Spring Attack or whatever, just a dash forward. Very, very cool. And then we have Magic Resistance Rating and Magic Resistance Rating Cap. This is actually a kind of crazy number. We have never seen anything like this as low as it is in the tree. So very, very nice for the Dhampir going deep. Then we have bonuses to stun DCs 2, 3, 4. Gigantic number. I don't know why this is here. I know why, because it synergizes with Fearsome Countenance, but really big number. Very nice for your first life builds who are trying to crack that getting over 130, 140 at endgame. So this will be very nice to have that extra 4 if you play as a Dhampir, since you're already picking up strength or other things. So very, very cool. And during the leveling process, really nice just to kind of fill in the curve if you have the extra points. Then we have Deathly Bite. So as long as you are undead, you actually get full healing. The thing about the Undead Bite is it heals you based on, it's like positive energy. It's not negative. So if you go Embrace Death, you actually get half healing. So this brings it back up to full. I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it's definitely nice if you want to play, like, let's say a rogue, and you're going to do Dhampir Rogue. You can pick up the negative healing here, or the negative effect, and then also pick up the negative healing, so your Vampire Bite will keep you topped up for the most part during your leveling process, which is pretty good. Buff to Rush of Bats, so it just makes a debuff on enemies, which is okay. And then Improved Dodge, which is just dodge, so there's no real problem with that. And then, of course, we have enchantment DCs. +3 enchantment DCs for a race choice is crazy. This is basically the same thing as Dragonborn, where they get +2 evocation DCs, which is also pretty crazy. So you're going to see Dhampirs kind of being the be-all, end-all enchantment race. I used to recommend Tieflings as your like kind of bard spell singer sort of thing. I think Dhampir is kind of just better. you trade out 2 charisma, but in exchange, you're now picking up enchantment DCs, which can be pretty impactful, especially on the low end of charisma, and you pick up a lot of good things along the way, like a dash. So very, very useful. You're definitely going to see people using that. Dominate person. This one's actually not as bad as the Dominate Animal because it's just a little bit more flexible. And again, if you already have the enchantment DCs, you're already playing a Spellslinger Bard, maybe you're playing an Enchant Sork, something like that, you can actually use it. Or like maybe you're playing Enchantment Rogue and you'd want to throw this out. Because also remember, these spell-like abilities don't cost any mana. So if you're playing like a pure Rogue, you can get in here and just use some of this as intelligence and maybe use it for the leveling process. Getting it at endgame is going to be a little tough because it's DC 15, but you know, at the base, so but we'll see. And then Biting Swarm. So your Bat Rush deals some AoE damage to nearby enemies, which is probably irrelevant. I can't imagine you would ever take this. So generally, I think Dhampir looks pretty good. I'm excited to actually play around and test with it and see some of the things you can do. I will say something that is, I kind of just realized that I noticed here. I have an 8 Constitution, which is a -1. The formula for using the Vampiric Bite is 10 plus heroic level times Constitution modifier. So because my Constitution modifier is actually -1, if I walk over here to an enemy and I use my Vampiric Bite, we got a nice little animation. I heal for 3 because it's multiplying by -1. This is very obviously something that will only apply if you happen to be a negative Constitution character, which if you have tomes or like, you know, brain cells, you're going to be putting your points in your Constitution. It's probably a good idea. However, I will say this, playing a lot on Cormyr and doing some of the hardcore shenanigans, I've been playing a lot with like low Constitution characters and kind of just being more dodgy, being more selective with my engagements, just playing a little bit better. And I've found that in a lot of cases, low Constitution isn't that big of a deal. You can actually get away with a lot of things with low Constitution, especially a low Constitution start, especially depending on the character. So I've been doing that a lot, so it's maybe an incentive to have a higher Constitution because it heals you based on your Constitution. So that's probably going to be something I have to actually think about in the future and change a little bit. I just thought that was kind of funny because for reasons I can't really explain, well, just for quick checks, I didn't have Constitution. But if I actually put an item on, so I'm at 0, this should actually give me a real number, because it should multiply by 1. Oh, now it's giving me 10, which I think is the minimum? No, it should be higher than that. So something's going on with the formula, because I don't think the game wants you to have a 0 or a 1 in the formula. But yeah, the point is have Constitution and it'll actually work. So the ultimate question, is Dhampir good? In my personal opinion, I think there's a lot of flexibility in Dhampir. I think that the numbers and the effects are pretty pushed in Dhampir, and I think you can make some good stuff happen. If you're somebody with 16 racial points, or 17, or however many racial points are in game now, 19, 20, 100, obviously plus 3 enchantment DCs for free is like the nuts, so kind of crazy. The Vampiric Bite is interesting. I am excited to play around with it and actually like get the chance to dig in and do some TRs with it to see how it really feels. Right now, I think it'll be clunky until you kind of learn how to do proper engagements with it, so I can't really say for sure. And you get a dash. Plus, a lot of the numbers are just good in a lot of places. So overall, I think Dhampir is good. The only thing I'm kind of disappointed by about Dhampir, and I wish they would do, is the Dhampir traits just don't breathe underwater. I kind of wish there was more Dhampir traits. I really like when characters have like diverse racial traits. I think that's kind of interesting in terms of just like giving them unique effects. You look at like Elf, where they have like immunity to sleep and they get bonuses to skills and a whole bunch of other like really minor stuff. And I know that stuff isn't really like endgame valuable, but to me, that's like part of my brain really likes that. Whereas I've found like the last several races are kind of just like the tree is where all of that is, which is interesting, but I don't know. I like the little minor stuff from like a role-playing perspective of like, oh, my character gets like I'm a Dhampir, so I have a plus bonus to like, I don't know, I'm just use the elf thing, but like maybe I have a bonus to like spot. Or maybe because I'm a Dhampir, I get a bonus to bluff because they're good at like fitting into the crowd or something. So you just get a racial +2 bonus to bluff or something. I don't know, stuff like that, really minor, not necessary, but I would like to see a change like that added in. But other than that, everything's looking pretty good here with the Dhampir. I like it quite a bit, and I'm excited to play one. And this is where the personal interjection comes in. When Ravenloft was announced in 2017, I wanted them to do Dhampir because this was very shortly after we got a full loot rework in 2017 where the random loot was redone, and all of a sudden you were finding negative healing amplifications and repair amplification items everywhere, which was kind of annoying. Because like if you find full plate with repair amp, no one's going to use that. And if you find full plate with negative amp, no one's going to use that. Now that has been slightly rectified because there are ways to get the ability to repair yourself now, especially with stuff like converter from the Renegade Master Maker tree, just being a Renegade Master Maker Artificer in general. There's some things you can do to actually kind of use some of those tools, but being negative, the closest bone we got was the Dark Apostate, which uses heavy armor, but even still, there's almost all of them are intelligence-based items, so you can't really use them. I'm really excited about the idea of playing a Dhampir Rogue and just going Undead and then kind of picking up on a lot of the negative healing and using some of the negative items in a different way. I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be fun in a different like character building avenue. Is that going to be better? No, but just personally, that's a direction I've wanted the game to go for a while, and so I'm looking forward to it, and I am excited. So Dhampir looks fun. I'm stoked, and I can't wait to play around with one because I've wanted to for a while. Also, fun personal fact, when I played Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous for the first time, I decided when I was making my character, the race that I picked a Dhampir because it just sounded the coolest, and I was like, I'm going to be a Magus, which is kind of like a spell sword type character, and I'm going to be a Dhampir because it's going to be cool. And after making my character, I realized how terrible of an idea that was, because the reality is that Dhampirs can't be healed by positive, which was kind of bad, and there's almost no negative healing in the whole game. There are like negative potions you can buy, so potions that give you like negative healing, but they're few and far between. A lot of the base characters don't have negative healing spells, like a lot of the companions that you get without multi-classing or changing up the builds. And so it just was like a really tedious and annoying process. And so the whole time healing my main character was like really frustrating. But not because the game did anything wrong. It was entirely on me. Now, I muscled through, okay? And then I got the Banner of Dresden, which gave me a heal over time, and I never had to worry about it ever again. It was very, very easy to manage, and I loved it. But yeah, it was... that was an experience and a half. Anyway, I'm happy we'll get Dhampir here, which will be nice. And if you're worried about positive healing, let's say you join a group and you have a really powerful cleric or favorite soul or alchemist or druid, whatever. You have a guy that does do the healing. You can just turn this off because it's a toggle. So you can just turn it off, get positive healing, and then turn it back on when you're playing with your, like, you know, with somebody else. Maybe you have some Pale Master group that you got going on. I think it could be kind of fun. Like, imagine playing Dhampir. And so everybody in the party, everybody isn't a Dhampir, but you have like, you're playing a Dhampir with like a Pale Master Wizard, a Dark Apostate, maybe another Dhampir who's playing as a negative sorcerer or something. And then all of a sudden, people are just like doing the AoE spam negative heals. Like, that sounds kind of cool, especially as like a group activity. So again, looking forward to Dhampir. I think it's going to be awesome. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Let me know what your thoughts are about Dhampir, whether you're excited, whether you are looking forward to it, whether you want to see it. Yeah, I'm just... personally very excited about this because it's been a long time. As far as the story, why we're getting Dhampirs, what's their purpose, where they're going to go with that, oh, but overall the actual numerical side of things I'm pretty stoked for. So yeah, looks good. Before we go and cap off for the night, I thought I would showcase just the character creation options for the Dhampir. So you can change up with the hairstyle, with the first hairstyles, where are we scrolling through, going to be the exclusive Dhampir ones, before we get to the generic humanoid ones. So you got some pretty cool hairstyles, which is pretty fun. You got your classic, like, look at me, I'm Strahd hairstyle, or look at me, I'm like Dracula hairstyle, or whatever you got going on. So you got some good options. I like them. Pretty big fan of a lot of the hairstyles. They look pretty good overall. And then you got some of the new half-elf elven hairstyles and stuff, so they want to make your vampires look pretty. Additionally, you can also pick both the hair color and then your ombre, so you can give you can get two-tone if you want. Damn, that's a very pretty vampire. So it doesn't look as bad here, but like, holy, that's really funny to me. Anyway, like, really, you know how long it would take to dye this hair? This is why vampires are Dhampirs. I don't know if they're immortal. I think they might be immortal, but this is the trick. It takes so long to get the hair ready. Like, you would have to be re-dyeing this every other day because of how quickly this color would fade. Fortunately, this character lives forever, so they don't mind wasting a couple days dyeing their hair. Then we've got the eyebrows. Good selection. We've got the whole head. Do you want to have teeth? Do you want to have like a thinner, more gaunt face? Do you want to have a smile on your face? So you got some bit of flexibility. So it's basically face, teeth, face, teeth, face, teeth, face, teeth. So it's kind of fun. For the ears, we're looking at, do you want to have more like kind of elven classic vampire ears, or do you want to have more humanoid looking ears? Is kind of like the way you want to break it down. Do you want your vampire to look kind of normal, or do you want your vampire to really hit that Dracula high, that Nosferatu sort of look? Then we got the facial detail, which is going to be your kind of under the eye, your kind of bloodshot eye vampire sort of look going on here. as well as some of the indentations on the face, the shadows. We got all sorts of stuff I kind of love. And I'm going to be honest, they did a really good job with kind of adding a good amount of character with some of these. The blood dripping out of the mouth is so excessive. Oh, you got, hold on, let me just throw in the teeth here. Oh, yeah. Actually, the teeth, yeah, it really fits. That's gross. So you have quite a few options with regards to this. And then facial detail number 2. Ooh, we've got, look at that, an extra layer. So now we can, you know, let's say you want to have, what is it? Wait, is this actually the same detail? Oh, it is the same detail. You just get to pair the two. Oh, fun. That's kind of cool. Kind of love that. That's sweet. Sick. I didn't look at this before. I'm kind of doing this on the fly, but yeah, I like the fact that it's actually the same slider, so you can maybe have like 2 of the same effects if you want them. General skin color tone, human tones, very fun. We've got the eyes. You can kind of decide what you want your eyes to look like, old or young or wizened or what have you. And of course your eye color, all the colors of the rainbow. Then we have the glow, which is kind of like this extra glow that goes in, sort of like how in like any movie or TV show or any good vampire sort of media, the vampires kind of have that like kind of glossy glow over their eyes to give them that. We have the glow color, so you can kind of change the color of your glow outside of your eyes, and then also the general shape, where does it show up? So if you want to have like your vampire have like this kind of blood red look, so you can kind of see like the eye color underneath, you can kind of go with that. And then we've got the lips. How do I want the lips to be shaped? Also, what color do I want my lips to be? I kind of like the fact that they give you like your standard lipstick tones. Again, I feel like it would fits the vampire kind of pretty well, because they need to have that visual like focus on the appearance. And then lastly, we have jewelry, and there's some sick jewelry. I do love especially the inverted cross jewelry, which is pretty cool. But you've got a lot of jewelry that you can throw in here. We got studs, all sorts of stuff, nose rings, the whole 9 yards. And then of course we have the jewelry color, which I'm assuming is actually the band color here. Yeah, it's the band color. So you can have like all different types of band color, different types of metals, whether you want to get some like, you know, what kind of color are we going here? Are we going more rose gold? Are we going banana white? You know, what color of iPhone are we basing our jewelry off? Overall, looks really good. And generally, when you slap randomize, I mean, this guy just kind of looks like an adventurer who just drinks people's blood. But in general, when you hit random, you get like a vampire sort of look. Actually, that guy looks like he was from Morrowind. This guy also kind of looks like he's from Morrowind. But like then you get like, you know, vampire look. So like, love the two-tone. Oh, look at the eyes. That's awesome. Okay. Anyway, make a vampire. So play a Dhampir today. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be it for me. So thank you guys for watching. It's been a fantastic time. Sorry I didn't make videos for like a year. I'm not going to promise to make more videos because that's just a bad idea, but I'm going to keep doing that in the future. I'm not going to have to commit to like a specific date because I have like ideas. I want to kick back beginner basics and get that started back up, and I have some builds I want to share, so you know, we'll see. But yeah, overall, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I hope you have fun with Dhampir. Again, let me know what you think about Dhampir. Let me know if you think it's fun, or good, or bad, or interesting, or not interesting, or you hate it, or you think Undead shouldn't be walking around in the streets with everybody else. Get them back to the crypt so I can slay them because I'm a paladin, and I really got to roleplay that experience. So yeah, so we'll see. But overall, looks good, pretty excited, and I can't wait for Dhampir to show up. That's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.